Greetings, Mike Blaine, field agronomist with Beck's Hybrids for central and western Minnesota, and I'm accompanied today here by Dale Victoria, who's the field agronomist with Beck's for southern and eastern Minnesota. We're at our Minnesota PFR location at Gibbon, and one of the key trials that Dale's going to talk about today is looking at 2x2x2 applications in our soybeans.
Yeah, all right. So, as Mike said, we're standing in front of this trial and we're looking at 2x2x2 on soybeans. And why we're bringing this up is you look at a lot of our practical farm research around 2x2x2, we're always talking corn, and we see some great value in that. So now how about if we have this investment on the planter, what about utilizing it in the soybeans? So here's the study that we have laid out. We have control, basically nothing on with the planter. Then we're looking at 30 units of UAN applied 2x2x2 via 28%. Then we're also looking at 2 gallons of thiosulfate standalone, and then we also have more of a macro-based blend that's NPK and as well as sulfur as well.
And one of the key things, growers, as Dale mentioned, when we look at equipment additions to our planters, is ultimately, if we only factor on the corn crop, our return on investment is fairly high. If we can utilize that same equipment in soybeans and potentially other row crops, our net return on investment is much greater.
Absolutely. Why not get the bang for the buck if you already spent that money on the equipment? So what we're looking at here is the two that we're going to really talk about right now is we're looking at this 30 units of UAN as well as 2 gallons of thiosulfate. All year long, 30 gallons of UAN, we can see that visual difference. The beans were taller, they're more robust. Even today, they're standing right behind us. You can tell there's 6 to 8 inch difference in growth. And it makes you wonder, all right, is there a yield component there? So when we talk about soybeans, they make their own nitrogen, right, Mike?
Absolutely.
So, but the biggest thing is nodulation is what gets us to that point. And a crucial element or nutrient for that is sulfur. Sulfur definitely influences the amount of nodulation. So we have 2 plants here. I'm looking at this one here is the 30 pounds of UAN versus 2 gallons of thiosulfate. Now what we're seeing here is the 2 gallons of thiosulfate, we have way more nodulation out of it. So that becomes the interesting fact where we go, okay, hopefully this will correlate to some yield, because we know that soybeans need 4 to 5 pounds of nitrogen per bushel of soybeans. So we talk about 70 bushel or even a 60 bushel soybean crop, that's a lot of nitrogen.
It's a lot of nitrogen. Not economical to apply.
Yeah, not economical to apply, exactly. So when we look at this 30 pounds of UAN, it might look better, but there's way less nodulation. We made it lazy. So ultimately, more than likely, we're going to see this have maybe definitely a negative ROI,
right?
Because it didn't make sense to put on 30 pounds of nitrogen with the planter for soybeans. But we're seeing our bang for our buck out of these 2 gallons of thiosulfate. So another thing, you have the investment already on the planter, relatively 2 gallons of thiosulfate, relatively economical, right? So this will be a fun study to talk about, and we'll continue watching it.
Absolutely, and as Dale mentioned, we're here today. We're looking ahead for additional conversations on this study and several others in our soybean and corn. And so please join us on Wednesday, August 18th here at Gibbon. That'll be our Minnesota PFR field day here at this site. Thank you. We'll see you then.
All right, very good.